Infomercial incoming in 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Matt here from 2FMRC, bringing you this brand new RTR from Furitek. This thing not only looks the part with this beautiful custom painted body, but delivers a performance built chassis and top-notch components underneath as well. Right away, the first thing you'll notice about this truck is it's not your average RTR. The awesome looking flame paint job on this Lexan body matched with the molded body parts like the mirrors, bumpers, and roof lights really make this one pop. This truck was definitely built with performance in mind, but can also look the part as a scale trail truck and totally be a sleeper with its pure performance core underneath. Front and rear portal axles with a 45-degree turning angle definitely give us the edge we need to get over some of the toughest obstacles. The aluminum anodized chassis underneath give us tons of upper link and shock mount options, a nice center mounted LCG battery tray. The transmission's mounted nice and low with the motor up front, still leaving room for the servo on axle, which keeps performance in mind by keeping the servo weight as low as possible and eliminating the bump steer we sometimes get from a chassis mounted servo. The super smooth oil-filled big bore shocks measuring 52 millimeters eye to eye keep this thing nice and smooth over even the roughest terrain while providing plenty of articulation. Pair all of that with the ultra flat skid, which barely extends below the LCG chassis rails, and this thing has tons of clearance underneath. The bulletproof metal gears throughout this truck eliminates the thought of stripping gears in tough situations like this. While running the brushless power of the new Furitek Venom motor, you've got the amazing slow crawl we always get from Furitek, mixed with plenty of wheel speed, pushed by the Lizard Pro ESC, which is 2 to 3S capable and has built-in Bluetooth for tuning on the fly. That's right, this thing is brushless out of the box for $199. Here we take a closer look at the all-metal gears inside the diff, portal boxes, and transmission itself, all combining to give this a bulletproof drivetrain. Here we have a look at our oil-filled plastic body aluminum cap shocks with bladder installed. Here's a nice look at the chassis, which is laid out very well and leaves us lots of room for customization, as well as many mounting points for our shocks and upper links. Bolted up to the aluminum flat skid with countersunk screws, giving us tons of clearance and the ability to slide over even the sharpest rocks. Coming in at an overall size similar to other popular 1/18 scale trucks on the market, make body swaps and custom builds a breeze for the Fury Wagon. The ultra-compact 4-channel transmitter included allows for easy one-hand driving and gives us extra channels to add accessories in the future. With the included 600 mAh 2S LiPo pack, this truck is completely ready to run out of the box and is definitely the best bang for the buck 1/18 scale truck on the market today. Furitek has once again changed the game by bringing us the first brushless 1/18 scale RTR with the new Fury Wagon. All right, so that pretty much shows what's included with the Fury Wagon. Only thing I didn't mention was the servo. They said it's a basic servo, didn't really give specs on it. It has been solid. I do not see me changing it at all. I mean, it's very similar to the one in here. It works. This is not like a comp rig, so I don't have to have the most powerful servo. Unless something happens to this, I'm not gonna change it. But I did wanna kinda talk about these two and compare them just a little bit, because a lot of people have said, well, isn't that just a Harvest Evo with the brushless system in it? And yes and no. There are some significant upgrades here for the price. So we're talking about $60 difference here. So once you get underneath the body on these things, you can definitely see a lot of difference here. And for 60 bucks, this is what we're talking like. This is $139, this is $199, okay? So keep that in mind when you realize what all you're getting here. So a lot of people were saying, well, it's just this with the brushless setup in it. It kind of is, but you've got these oil-filled shocks, which have been great. These shocks have not stuck on me once. They just work. They're not leaking and no sticking, like I said. Now, most of my oil shocks, when they set for just a few minutes, they get sticky. Now, if you work them around, usually they're okay for a pretty good little bit, but even sometimes you'll be crawling and you'll just notice they're just stuck, okay? Now, I haven't changed the oil or did anything in these. I've just been running them like they came. I kind of wanted to run the truck the way it was, but make a couple little, basically free mods. All I did was removed this battery tray that was here Made this little plate out of any old plastic you got. I had some carbon fiber stuff I cut. Screwed it down, moved my electronics to here. Main reason I did that is because I wanted to move my shocks, and I noticed I couldn't really get to this nut very well because the ESC was in the way, the receiver was in the way. And so every time you wanted to move those, you were gonna have to pry that up to get to this. So it was much easier for me to just do that. Now those are down there, and I can put the battery back here. At some point, I may make a tray, you know, for the sides. I wish they kind of came with some sliders or something. You can see that's what I did with this, is just made something to put my battery on here, because I did away with the battery tray on it as well. But this works pretty well. I've seen some people talking about this looking rear heavy. Stock, this on the scale was 53 front, 47 rear. So it's not bad off. Straight out of the box. With just a little added weight in the front, you're going to be at the 60/40, and it all sits pretty low. So that's my other thing with this chassis, is it just has a lot more mounting options. So you can see I've been able to really lower this thing down, whereas this one I'm not even running the springs on these little tiny plastic shocks that come on this thing, and you can see how much lower I'm sitting. So this chassis just seems to be working for me. Another thing they've done is they got rid of all of these terrible Phillips screws. So these things really like to strip out on you as soon as you go working on them. On this, we have all hex screws here. You can see the 1.5 fits them perfect. So that's very nice, makes tuning so much easier. I hate the Phillips screws. Another thing that people really aren't going to notice, and you may not even be able to tell on the video too well, but these drive shafts, these are pretty thin. The ear right here, anytime I've put brushless in this, when I put the cedar in here, I had an issue. This is actually a different one. I popped this off, the ear just pops off, it breaks, and you can see on this one, those are beefed up a little bit. I would say when they put the brushless in this, testing it, they probably ran into issues, and that's why they swapped those. So the drive shafts are slightly upgraded. They're not metal. They're still plastic, but they're a little beefier than these. So this does share basically the same transmission, like case and everything. They've took the 2-speed out of this. It's really not needed. Once you go brushless, you've got the crazy slow crawl, and you've got plenty of wheel speed. When you're running like a 3S or something in here, you've got plenty of wheel speed. So you don't need an extra servo and the things to be going wrong. I mean, it's kind of fun to play with, switching gears and stuff. But you also run into the point where on this, sometimes when you're clicking through from low to high, it hits that little dead spot and you'll roll and lose your spot. Whereas this, without the 2-speed, you've just got it on demand. So I actually prefer, once I go brushless in something like this, to just do away with the 2-speed. Then we don't have to deal with this extra servo, extra weight, another failure point, basically. So that's a clear upgrade to me. Maybe some people want to have the 2-speed and switch gears, that sort of thing. This does have the servo on axle, whereas this is chassis mounted. So, you know, that's weight up high on this. I'm just kind of comparing as far as performance goes. If you want a scale trail truck, maybe that's what you want. You know, some people prefer that. I definitely prefer servo on axle, so I like that about it. You know, besides that, we kind of get the same tires. You can see same similar style bumper. They are supposed to make this, I think, some mounts for this to fit multiple bodies. But the cool thing is, like, you know, you can fit different things like this. We could even mount that up on there, chop it a little bit. It's just a brat body. I think the TRX4M, they're gonna make those bodies fit this. The K5 comes close. You can see it's just because FMS has that short wheelbase, but you could possibly cut the fenders a little and make that work. So we're gonna have plenty of body options for these. So I think we're gonna see some pretty cool custom builds, but that pretty much kind of explains a little bit. I believe they are gonna be offering like some high clearance links and a few other upgrades, so that's cool as well. So it does share the same axles. So all of the upgrades for these axles, portal covers and that sort of thing will fit these. Only thing I really run into is some of the wheels. You really have to pick and choose your wheels wisely, the offset to clear the portals, but that's kind of a portal thing anyways. I did put a rubber band here and here, you can see probably. Keeps that front end really pulled down, but it will also allow it to travel when I need it to. That made a huge difference going uphill with this. It did fine. It did okay. It downhills very well out of the box. So this thing is set up like 53-47 out of the box. You know, so just a little bit of weight in the front, you're going to be at your 60-40. And then obviously I move things around. I don't even know what I'm setting at right now, but it's working. So I didn't double check it after I did the mods, but putting these down here, I don't think we really gained much of anything. This probably weighs similar to what those weigh, but you know, you can easily move electronics around. You could mount the battery up here. I thought about even sticking it to the servo or something. Easily put the receiver up here or something like that, but I liked leaving that clear just so the body could sit as low as possible. I did lower these all the way down so the body's dropped as far as I could get it. I cut the fenders off to gain that clearance, and this thing has been running very well. So I will try to get into maybe comparing this with the Cayman or something in another video. I know some people were talking about the differences there. Main difference is price. You know, I like the Cayman, but it's got a heftier price just because it's more SCX24 like transmission, and I think just a little more pricey, but this is insane for the price. And I think the gearing on this just seems to work better than the Cayman. You know, the Cayman is very touchy because of the SCX transmission with the FCX axles. That setup, you're just touchy. It works, but it's touchy. And I mean, once you get used to it, you're good. But this is just very smooth. It just really, really works. So let's go run this thing so you guys can see it in action a little bit, and we'll talk more about it. So I've got quite a bit of time in with this thing because luckily I got my hands on it pretty early. And, you know, sometimes like when these new releases are coming out, these companies send it to us like a day or two before they expect a video up, you know, and it's like, I got to try to get some time in with this thing, you know, but I've got quite a bit of run time in with this one. Thanks to Furitek for sending it over, you know, so early that I was able to get some more run time in with it because it makes it a lot easier. I feel like I'm being a lot more honest about it. You know, I can go out and run something once and feel really good about it, and then the next time I take it out, like stuff breaks and I have issues, and you know, you run into more problems the more you run something, obviously, and you figure out things that maybe you didn't realize the first run or two. But this is all 100% stock right here, and you know, I've had really good luck with this truck straight out of the box. This was my very first outing with it. I took it down to the creek, which is very slick. It was nasty, rough conditions, and the thing did really well for being stock. You know, obviously the tires were spinning, but it was very wet, slick, nasty out there. So pretty much any tire is going to be spinning in these conditions. But the truck overall was very impressive. The new motor, the Venom, I'm going to talk a little bit about it because like everybody's, you know, kind of curious about this motor. They can't find anything on it. I was told basically it's just a little bit cheaper micro Komodo for them so that they can offer this package deal at the price they are, because when you go adding all this stuff up, there is a ton of value in this truck at $199. So, you know, they were able to get this motor that's just slightly different, I guess, than a micro Komodo. Cost them a little less, I guess, apparently, to have it made, which brings our cost down. But this thing, to me, it feels identical to the micro Komodo. Like, if I was to run one next to the other, I really wouldn't know the difference, I don't think. They said it may have slightly less power, but I really can't tell it, to be honest. With this transmission and these axles, it works very good. You have a very good slow crawl and a really good, you know, top speed as far as wheel speed goes. The only thing you really notice a lot, and I mean a lot, is the kind of slack in the gears, which is more of a portal thing. You know, the more gears, the more slack you get in there. So when you go to take off with this thing, if you're watching the motor, you can watch that motor turn like 10 times before this truck even starts to move, and then you will barely start to move. So there is a lot of play in the gears, but that's really kind of a portal thing. Like, that happens with all portals. So it's not a fault of the truck. It actually kind of helps you ease into the throttle, I guess, sometimes. And it hasn't affected me as far as crawling. You can see the wheel speed of this thing saved me a few times, just like back there a second ago. And then going downhill, this thing downhill's really well stock. Like, I was pretty amazed at how well it was doing. Now here I have cut the body and lowered it some to get a little better performance, but you'll see here I'm going down pretty steep descent here, and then the wheel speed kind of saves me toward the end. When I'm getting close to looping out, I just punch it and I'm able to pull out of this. This climb right here is about 53 degrees, and it's sort of slick, like sandstone type stone. So like you get this loose grit on it. So the fact that these tires almost made it up this was pretty impressive. And the truck being, you know, just some free mods at this point. Basically, I've put the rubber bands on, lowered the body, and moved the electronics. And the thing was, it was going to go up that. It just needed a little better tire. And same here, trying to go up this. This is pretty steep. And if you watch, if the right front would grab just a little more, if those front tires grab, it would kind of suck the body into the rock a little bit, and it would pull right up that. So I feel like with just a little better tire, it'll go up this. It almost gets it right there, and then I just lose traction a little bit, and then it's gone. Another thing I would normally turn to make something like this easier is a little overdrive in the front. But, you know, up until now, there hasn't been overdrive gears for these axles, at least that I've found. So that's one reason I haven't really ran these axles much. But Furitek's got us covered. They've got overdrive gears in the works for these, ready to go. So that's totally going to change this truck. We could put overdrive gears in this, and I promise you it would make that climb right there. So there's so many good things about this truck, right? I've just talked about how great it is, how great it is, how great it is. Where did they skimp on things? How did they get the price so cheap? That's what people are going to want to know. And watch this climb right here while I'm jabbering. Pretty awesome that this thing did this climb. Maybe the rubber band in the front's a little tight. I wish that driver would have dropped just a little bit more there. But it settles in a minute, and it makes this climb. For a stock truck with free mods, those rubber bands are like $2 or $3 at the dollar store for an entire pack. I've been using them forever. Moved the electronics, cut the body, lowered it a little bit, and the thing's insanely capable. On stock tires even. But anyways, really the only thing where I can see that they tried to cut costs a little bit was with the bushings. It does have bushings. Which is not a huge deal to me. You know, I don't like bushings, but to keep the cost down for what we're getting with this truck, I couldn't tell you the difference. I couldn't drive this and say, oh, that has bushings in it, it's binding or anything like that. I haven't had any issues with that. For people who like a lot of water, you know, the bushings are usually better than bearings because those bearings like to seize up. You're not going to want to do a ton of water with this. I mean, it is an outrunner motor, so it's not waterproof. I drove it through the creek and got it a little wet, but I wouldn't submerge it. Maybe you could say the servo but it's way better than what we get with like an SCX24 or a TRX4M. Right on par with like the FCX as far as performance, but I think probably a little better as far as durability maybe. You know, I've had people say a few of those burnt out on them, and the steering links and servo horn is definitely better than what comes on that usually. So I wouldn't even really say the servo. It's a great RTR servo. So I don't know, man. Like, they've put so much into this for the price. You get a pretty good looking body. You know, the Power Wagons have been done a lot, so they're getting a little burnt out on them. But, you know, I cleared the windows on mine. Was able to make it a little more what I wanted it to be. And, you know, you can always swap the body. Pretty much any RTR comes with a body that we change at some point. So, and they even give you the lights. I mean, it has lights on it. Just insane for the price, guys. I am super stoked about this one, and I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it and see what you think. So, you guys let me know what you think about this. I have tons of running with this thing. I'm going to get into more with, you know, different wheels and tires and that sort of thing, and just see what kind of performance we can get out of it. I really wanted to show it mostly stock in this video, just so you guys could see how the thing runs out of the box. And in my opinion, it's very, very good. So let me know what you think, and I appreciate you guys watching. Peace.